Food and Wine Insider is a weekly look at a $1.5 trillion industry. On each show, they invite leaders of the world's culinary and wine industries to share the secrets of their success. Visit us at foodandwineinsider.com.
And most listeners who prowl the supermarket aisle know the name Polaner. But here to tell us about the business side of that famous company is Mike Skalski. He's the company's director of marketing. Take it away, Ann.
Thank you, Don. As Don was saying, Mike Skalski, he's Senior Brand Manager of Polaner All Fruit Preserves. Welcome to Food and Wine Insider, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Mike, before we get into the business of Polaner, I would love for you to tell our listeners a bit about you and what you were doing before you came to B&G Foods.
Well, I've been working in the food and beverage industry for almost 17 years now, working on a variety of brands, and most recently.
Okay, let's talk about Polaner Fruit Preserves. This is a business that's been around since, I believe, the late 19th century. Could you talk a little bit about the history of the brand?
Yes. So Polaner has been a leading national brand of spreads, jams, and jellies. We've been around since the late 1800s, actually. We started out in 1896 with fruit-based spreads, as well as some jarred wet spices like chopped garlic and oregano.
Okay. It's a company, at least the company itself has been bought and sold several times in its history. I think starting in 1986 and then a few different iterations before B&G acquired it in 1999. How do you think that has either helped or hurt the brand?
I think it's helped for us, being here under when Polaner was bought by B&G Foods here in Parsippany. We've had the chance to kind of invest and get behind it and really help continue to grow the brand from what it was many years ago.
In what ways? Anything in particular that has been a help? Has it been distribution? Has it been, those kinds of things?
Well, I think being able to leverage the distribution network that B&G has, and also leveraging our relationships with the retail accounts, really helps us get the Polaner product out there and drive it off the shelf.
I guess I'm old enough to remember the commercials about don't dare call it jelly, pass the Polaner all fruit. What has been done as of late to get consumers to appreciate this brand?
Well, one of the things that we have done is we've been focusing on, our ingredients here, and many of which are all fruit flavors are they are non-GMO Project Verified and sweetened with only fruit juice. And so we make sure that we have something that is, appealing and current to consumers.
Okay. And are those the aspects that make it distinctive from other brands in the category? In fact, I guess I would love to understand what position does it have in the category, and talk a little bit about where it's shelved as well.
Well, it is a leading national brand. It is really, what makes us unique is that we are fruit juice sweetened, and we have very simple ingredients, usually 4, maybe 5, if you want to push the label. And again, sweetened only with fruit juice. We make sure that we've got great taste. That's really what we focus on. We want to make sure that people are enjoying us every time they open the jar.
And where is it positioned in grocery on the shelf? What is it sitting next to? You don't have to say the brand; it's just the category.
Well, it sits in the jams and jellies section of most grocery and mass outlet retailers.
Okay, and its pricing. How how is it priced versus competition? Is it a premium? Is it as one of the market leaders? Sort of, it sets the price. Tell us a little bit about the pricing.
Pricing is competitive with there are other national players, and it is a large category. People do like their fruit jams and jellies, and but we're right there in the in the middle of it. You do have some lower end stuff that it does enter the shelf. Plus, you also have some private label products, some store brand.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that you're non-GMO certified. What has that meant to the business, and has it helped you grow your share?
It's important when we, as we're seeing what consumers are interested in, and non-GMO over the last several years has become more and more prevalent in the marketplace, and it's one of those things that consumers they look for on the label. They do like the fact that extra assurance of quality from a third party, if you will.
One of your major channels is grocery. I would like to talk about the grocery channel a little bit. What do you think is happening in that channel, and what does it mean for how you may want to be distributed in the future?
A lot of grocery retailers right now are like retailers outside of food. Everyone's looking to cut costs and drive revenue, and many are looking to simplify their assortments. People are reducing shelf space, and they're looking to simplify.
And does that have an impact on the number of SKUs, stock keeping units, that you have on the shelf, or what's on average the stock keeping units, the SKUs that are carried in grocery of Polaner brand?
Well, it's going to depend on the size of the retailer. It's also going to depend upon the size of the store. You could have anywhere from 4 units. Some stores will carry like our entire line of all fruit. We've got 11 flavors in all. We also have some sugar-free products as well. So again, based on the store and the velocities, they'll have more stock keeping units maybe than average.
Okay, and I'm just curious because I'm very familiar with the brand in grocery, but do you also have a food service business, and do you see the growth coming from in the future in terms of distribution?
Well, we do have some food service. We see, going forward, we see innovation as a way to kind of bring some new news to the category and keep folks interested and coming back. Beside the, if you will, the staple products that they've known and loved. Okay.
I've noticed that many brands in the fruit preserve category are working hard to get consumers to use it beyond one's morning toast. What has been your focus with regard to alternative usage of the Polaner all fruit preserves?
Well, we want to make sure that the product is accessible throughout the day. While the primary usage is going to be at breakfast time on toast, it can definitely be used at other times. We've not done anything, if you will, specific to push that, but many of the, you can find recipes, and you've got food bloggers and people that will use the preserves in baking, whether it's some sort of cake or cookie.
Are you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure you had finished. As you were talking about that, I was curious. Is there a seasonality for the business?
I think people are consuming. They consume, fruit spread, throughout. I think there might be some subtle seasonality, but people eat breakfast usually every day. But don't see a huge uptick.
Okay, and talk a little bit about your social media presence. What are you doing from a social media standpoint, either to attract the millennials or younger people to understand Polaner all fruit preserves?
Well, we do have we have some limited presence in social media. Our really key focus is kind of driving retail, and so we do have where we'll have suggestions and ways to use the product, also some recipes. We are talking about we use that as a great platform to talk about new products that are out there as well. That we come out with, so it's a great way to kind of communicate. But we also want to make sure that we're doing stuff in store to get people as they're walking down the grocery aisles and grab their attention.
And what do you do in that aspect when you're saying in store? Is it sampling? Is it tell us? Is it demos? I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, so we do a variety of we've got a variety of things. We'll do some in-store signage. We do demos, especially with new products. That's really, really important for us. And it's a great way for, people to try the delicious all fruit they've known and loved, but in new flavors and new styles.
And when you have interactions from a social media standpoint, even though you said it was rather limited, what has been the most interesting thing a consumer has said to you?
I think what I'm most impressed with is people's kind of deep-seated love of the brand. They know that the high quality that's there, and they appreciate the goodness that's in it, and with new items as well. The fact that we're bringing some new stuff to market, I think, is really, really important for folks.
And demographically, do you have a profile of the most intense users? I don't want to say heavy users because I just think that's negative. But what's the profile of the typical consumer of Polaner?
Well, it ranges widely. You've got your basically 25 to 55 folks that are using jelly. I think I would probably, it's going to be a little bit older. So while you might have that range, you are going to have users that, because a lot of maybe some younger consumers are not using, bread, jam on toast, for example, as much as some of the older consumers. And I like to say older because it's it's just an age, it's just a number, right?
Exactly. I would say that all the time. I have only thought about Polaner in the fruit spread category, but I see that you have crushed large cut and chopped garlic as well as basil. It was kind of a surprise to me. How do you market these products? As my expectation is that they're merchandised in a different section of the store. Talk about the marketing of those products, please.
So for the spices, it's a little bit different. It's very driven by need. So there's not a lot of when people are looking for chopped garlic, it's not something that we would be constantly promoting. It's just not something that we focus on. So it's kind of a smaller part of our portfolio.
Why do it? I'm just curious. Why do you have this in the line then?
Well, it's part of it's been part of the original business, and wanting to continue on kind of what was started many years ago, It's good for us, but it's not a huge focus. Our focus is more on the jams and the jellies.
I was thinking that maybe it was the alternate crop to strawberries or something that, since I had to grow garlic from time to time in the fields and it was mixed with the strawberries, but maybe it has nothing to do with that. I'm not really sure.
No, that I don't know. That would have to be going way back to, because we've been making chopped garlic for over 100 years. So I don't know what that initial inspiration was, but it could be. It could be that. Yeah. Well, the strawberries are harvested. Now let's grow some garlic.
Yeah, exactly. So where do you source the ingredients? The main ingredients, obviously, you're an all fruit preserve, and fruit is the main ingredient. Where do you source your fruit from?
Fruit is sourced from growers all over, both domestic and international.
Okay. And have you ever had a season where there's been a problem with the crop, and how have you managed your way through that?
Well, I am not aware of any issues that we've had, but we do have an excellent purchasing department that looks ahead and plans ahead to make sure that we don't have any interruptions, both good for us from a sales standpoint, but also great for consumers so they don't have an interrupted supply on shelf.
Wonderful. Well, I have time for one last question. I can't believe our time is nearly up. Where would you like to see this business in 5 years, and what plans do you have for the line?
Well, I think we're gonna continue to grow and innovate. Our most recent product, our new fruit and maple, we just launched it several months ago, and we think that is the type of product that consumers are going to be looking for. It's new for us. We combined the pure maple syrup with the delicious fruit that we have in our all fruit. So you get that fresh taste of fruit and the nice delicate sweetness of pure maple syrup. And that's what consumers are looking for these days in terms of alternative sweeteners. There's been a rise in folks looking for stuff other than high fructose corn syrup. They don't want artificial flavors. They don't want artificial colors. So we think we've got a great product here, and if we continue to innovate and capitalize on consumer trends that we see, I think that's where we can continue to grow the brand.
Well, wonderful. Mike, I want to thank you for your time today to talk about Polaner All Fruit Preserves, and I'm going to turn it over to Don so we make sure that we know what website we should go to and continue to promote the business. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Well, Ann, we've been talking with Mike Skalski, who is Polaner's Director of Marketing. A link to his website will be on foodandwineinsider.com tonight. And Mike, what is your website that listeners should go to?
Well, you can find Polaner Fruit and Maple Premium Fruit Spread along with all of our all fruit and sugar-free varieties at PolanerSpreads.com.
Can you spell it out for our audience?
Sure. It's www.PolanerSpreads.com.
Mike, thank you so much for being with us today. Remember, you can hear this and every other past and future Food and Wine Insider program. And you can also, by the way, tell us guests you might like to hear. Again, Mike, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Ann.
Ann, do you think it's harder or easier nowadays to get into the food and wine business?
I think that's a great question, Don. I think there are still fairly low barriers to entry into the food business. Part of the reason for this is there continues to be excess capacity. In other words, in most cases, you can find a contract packer to produce your product. Of course, this might not give you a great deal of flexibility in the type of packaging you may want to use, but most specialty producers use co-packers so that they aren't consumed with trying to make the product, but instead can focus on selling the product to retailers or to food service buyers. Of course, you still need money, and most entrepreneurs would admit that they have fully borrowed from friends and family. Today, however, there are so many other ways to raise capital. There's GoFundMe, there's crowdsourcing, there's angel investors, and this gives new entrepreneurs every chance to get their products to market. The important thing to me, however, is not to lose sight of the differentiation of the product in the marketplace and its relevance to your particular target audience. What is your unique selling proposition? What will consumers use your product instead of? Why will they believe your product fits into their life? Have you paid attention to sustainability? Do you support a greater good? Today, consumers want it all. Great taste, by the way, nothing else matters, convenience, a clean ingredient line, a real person behind the product, and a sense that you are providing them something they cannot get anywhere else. Experiment in as many channels as possible. Get the repeat orders coming and stay passionate about what you're doing. Oh, and be sure to make some money at it, because if you're ever thinking about selling the business, that's one of the important questions. Not only your passion, but can you make money in the business? Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Ann. Very insightful.
I thought I'd talk today about family-owned businesses. I've had the pleasure to get to know so many wonderful families who started businesses. Sometimes it's a mom who was inspired to create a new product for a specific dietary need of her child. Sometimes it's a husband and wife working shoulder to shoulder to make their dreams come true. One thing is always present, a passion for what they are creating and how it changes the way the world eats. Passion gets them into creating a business, and then there are the practical realities of having a successful business. The consumer also appreciates the entrepreneurs as they look to delight their own eating experiences with not only what is in the product, demanding a clean ingredient line, but also the original story and the real person behind the product. Many food entrepreneurs start out by using their savings and borrowing from family and friends. In the current world of GoFundMe, Kickstarter, and the like, they've been able to broaden their reach in terms of support. They may have tested their products in farmers markets to see if there's appeal beyond their immediate family and friends. Then if they are fortunate enough, they get to a level of scale, having built relationships with retailers or food service buyers, distributors, and expanding beyond direct selling to using brokers. They are attending trade shows that help them connect with buyers interested in their products. Many start out co-packing their products to minimize their risk. This is a smart thing to do, but this requires relationship building and determining the right point at which to self-manufacture, especially as distribution expands beyond a regional area. At some point in gaining scale, they may need to infuse significant capital into the business to expand distribution and manufacturing. This may involve a different kind of partner, maybe angel investors, and quite possibly venture capital or even private equity. Today, even the large CPG companies like Campbell's, General Mills, Kellogg's, and Danone have created venture capital funds to find these innovative jewels. In talking with these entrepreneurs, it's sometimes difficult to accept an investment from a private equity or a venture capital group, given the concern that they could lose control or have to run the business according to someone else's direction. This is certainly understandable, as many of these entrepreneurs have a DNA that thrives on being their own bosses and making their own decisions. Instead, I would suggest understanding the role that these companies can bring to bear who now feel as passionately as you do about your business. After all, why would they want to invest in you? As one Shark Tank shark once said to me, there are two questions I ask of entrepreneurs in considering investing in their business. One, are you passionate about this business for the long term? And two, are you making money at it? And while we may discuss this for another day, at some point, entrepreneurs need to consider a succession plan for the business, especially if children are not interested in continuing the story. Even if the next generation is involved, there are many instances in which the company quite wisely brings in an outside CEO who brings additional competencies and vision to the business.
Again, something to talk about in another session. Thank you.
To be successful, most restaurant owners require extra capital from time to time. When you need funding to renovate, buy equipment, or manage cash flow, you don't have time to track down financial statements or wait weeks for a decision. That's where Cabbage can help. Cabbage gives small businesses access to a line of credit of up to $200,000. Apply online and you'll get a decision right away. Since Cabbage is a line of credit, you can take the exact amount you need. You never have to reapply to take additional loans, and you'll only pay for the funds you use. Cabbage has helped more than 230,000 businesses from every industry, and with $4 billion in funding, Cabbage is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and was named the Forbes Top 100 Companies twice in a row. Check out Cabbage at cabbagewithak.com/food and wine, and you'll get a $50 gift card when you qualify. That's KABBAGE.com/food and wine.
Line of credit is subject to credit approval. See terms and conditions. All Cabbage business loans are issued by Celtic Bank, a Utah-chartered industrial bank, member FDIC.
And our next guest is Andy Reichgut. He's Executive Vice President of Garden Lights, a company which I sampled just recently that makes vegetables the first ingredients in their bakery products. And by the way, I have to tell you, it was out of this world. To explore this further, I now turn it over to Ann Dahl.
Well, we are here today with Andy Reichgut. He's the Executive VP of Garden Lights. And I'm very intrigued by this because getting kids to eat their vegetables is a really important thing. But Andy, I'd like to start a little bit with your background before you became involved with Garden Lights, which, by the way, is a line of muffins, cakes, waffles, and mac and cheese that are all made from veggies. Andy, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, so I've been doing consumer packaged good marketing since 1997. I've worked on some of the largest brands in the U.S., including candy like Snickers and frozen foods and Duncan Hines baking mixes and all these products. And about 4.5 years ago, I really wanted to start becoming part of the solution with the food epidemic we have in this country. So I was looking for an opportunity to work with a company that you could be really proud of the type of food that they were developing and that was good for everyone. So I joined Garden Lights in January 2014 and have been there ever since.
So tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the product line.
Well, it's really interesting. So from the beginning, we've always been inspired by the challenge to encourage everyone from not just children, but adults to everybody to eat more vegetables. If you think about all the health messages that we get over the last 20, 30, 40 years, it seems to kind of be a revolving door. You know, it was low fat and low calories in the 80s, and then organic and paleo and gluten-free and low carb and low fat or high fiber. It's always changing. I think people are a little confused about what is truly healthy, but the one health message that's never changed is eat your fruit and vegetables. And people in this country don't have an issue eating fruit because a strawberry or a blueberry tastes great. People love the way they taste. So we eat enough fruit. But the FDA just recently reported that only 1 in 10 Americans eat the recommended amount of vegetables on a daily basis. So we saw that as a real opportunity to make a difference and offer products a way that they can get hooked on veggies and enjoy them in a way that makes their life easier as well.
You know, as I understand it, you have, as you were mentioning, very clean ingredient line. You're gluten-free, you're non-GMO. What are the challenges in making your products with these characteristics?
Well, we have products that are, and this is what consumers have told us, are surprisingly delicious. And we have a wide variety, as you guys outlined at the beginning. It is quite a challenge, though, to take fresh and frozen vegetables clean ingredient products, gluten-free, non-GMO, and make them taste surprisingly delicious. And the real magic comes from two things. One, we have exceptional product developers. They have created recipes that are healthy, clean ingredients, nutritionally smart, and vegetables are the first and primary ingredient in everything. And the second part of that recipe is a manufacturing process where we can develop products that are really delicious, but we can make in larger quantities. Our manufacturing process has a lot of proprietary information, which I won't share, but I can tell you it's very hands-on. It's very similar to how you would make these products at home, but just in a much, much bigger kitchen.
Wonderful. And who is the target for your products? Who are you talking to?
You know, we have a lot of different consumer targets. The bullseye for us is everyone who enjoys vegetables in their diet, but really the people that have resonated the most are the millennial moms. They appreciate an authentic brand like ours that really stands for something that's meaningful, and they appreciate the unique benefits of our food. Vegetables are the first ingredient. Everything we do is gluten-free, as you mentioned, clean ingredients, non-GMO, and we have really smart nutritionals as well, so you can feel good about eating it. So I'd say the products are geared towards everyone. Really, we have products for little kids. We have a licensing arrangement with Nickelodeon, so we have SpongeBob Square patties, chocolate patties, and we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle muffins. All are veggie rich, but those obviously are attracted to kids. And then we have products that are great for adults, but it's really for anyone who wants to get more veggies in their diet. And because our products are ready to heat and eat very quickly, they're really good for a lot of different occasions, and it opens up a lot of consumer targets for us.
And where is your distribution today, and in what section of the store can people find your products?
Well, we are distributed nationally. You can find us in retailers like Costco, Kroger, Target, Walmart, and some regional retailers like in Texas, you can find us in H-E-B. In the Northeast, you can find us in ShopRite and Stop and Shop. Down in Florida and the Southeast, you can find us at Publix. In the Midwest, you can find us in Meijer. Out in California, you can find us in Ralph's. I can go on and on. We have a great store locator on our website at gardenlights.com that can tell you, but we're pretty much available everywhere in the country. And for people who like to get their products delivered directly to their home, we also sell our products online. So you can go online, order them, and have them sent right to your front door.
And they're frozen, is this correct?
Yes, all the Garden Lights items are frozen. And the primary reason that we get asked a lot, why don't we develop products that are shelf-stable or products that are refrigerated? We do have a few refrigerated items, but generally everything's frozen because we're using fresh vegetables to produce our products, and therefore they don't have a long shelf life unless they stay frozen. And I've worked in frozen food for a number of years, and one of the biggest misconceptions is people think frozen food is overly processed. But if you think about it, freezing food is actually the most natural preservative you can use. It locks in all the nutrients and the freshness. So because we use such high-quality ingredients, we really need to make them frozen so we can keep them to their nutritional value.
It's amazing to me that people still have that misperception of frozen. I spent a lot of my early career on Bird's Eye, and basically we blanch the vegetables and they're frozen within 24 hours. So actually they're really good for you. But people have this perception that somehow they're processed. You have 10 tips for getting children to eat their vegetables, and I think I read somewhere that studies show that it takes about 10 times of eating a new food for a child to accept it. What are some of those tips for getting kids to eat their veggies?
Well, I think there's a lot of unique ways, and to a certain extent you should customize it to your child because we're not all the same. But I think the most important thing is to get their kids to eat their vegetables early and often. Introduce them early as possible. vegetables should always be part of your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so it becomes part of that behavior. And you got to make sure that they know they're eating veggies. Oftentimes, kids are surprised to learn that they're actually eating as many veggies as they are. We also recommend offering your children ways to be connected to the vegetables, perhaps by growing them in a small garden or even a kitchen or on a windowsill. Children that feel connected to where the vegetable came from and part of it being grown tend to eat them a lot more often. Now, I'll tell you, we go to a lot of consumer shows because we have unique products, and it's really important for us to get consumers to try the food to get them to be a user. And at a lot of these consumer shows, we'll give a sample to a child, say 5 to 7 years old, and they'll eat it. And let's say it's our chocolate muffin or our blueberry muffin or our superfood veggie cake, which is kind of like a savory muffin. The consumer tries it. They love it because our products are really delicious. And then we show them what they just ate. We have what we call our veggie wheel, which is on the back of all our boxes. And it shows the quantity of all the ingredients that went into that product. So, for example, our blueberry muffin, the first 2 ingredients are zucchini and carrots, fresh zucchini and fresh carrots. And then the next ingredient is eggs and some gluten-free flours and blueberries, etc. When we show this veggie wheel to the kids, we get all sorts of different reactions. We get surprise, like, no way, I can't believe it. We get kids being really happy because they're like, oh, my gosh, I love vegetables. We've gotten kids who run away crying because we had them eat a vegetable. So these kids come from all different levels of acceptance of vegetables. So it's really important to know them before when you get started. So we learn a lot by talking to these consumers, and it's really helped us to develop the 10 tips. But again, I just reiterate, the most important thing is to make it ubiquitous with all of their meals. Make it part of their life so it's not this on Wednesdays I have to eat vegetables type of thing, but they're just used to doing it on a regular basis. The other thing that's really important is you got to make them taste good. We're all guilty, busy. I can talk to my own family. We're really busy. And you can't just microwave some frozen broccoli and put it in front of them and say, go ahead, kids, it's time to eat broccoli. You got to find ways to make it taste good.
Yes, and it's something I always say to people when they have really young children, don't introduce them to sugar and salt, because as soon as you do that, that's what they want to taste is sugar and salt. Describe some of the products. Why did you choose the muffin form for some of them, and how many servings are there, say, in one of your typical muffins?
Well, so we'll start with the muffins. They're a perfect, portable, and naturally great way to enjoy vegetables. So every muffin has veggies. All of our products, including our muffins, have vegetables as the first and primary ingredient. One of our best-selling muffins is chocolate, which sounds really bizarre from a company that makes vegetables the first and primary ingredient. But that chocolate muffin is 33% zucchini and carrot. A third of it is pure fresh vegetables that are blended into the batter. They're baked, they're frozen, and they're put in the box to lock in all the freshness. So we're really, and that's true of all our muffins. We also sell a line of savory muffins, which we call veggie cakes and frittatas. Like our sweet muffins, these items have veggies as the first and primary ingredient, and they really celebrate how amazing vegetables can taste. So in the chocolate muffin or the blueberry muffin, we're showing consumers that you can use zucchini and carrots as a way to give moisture and sweetness to a baked good. But it's definitely not a product where you're tasting the vegetables in a strong way. But in the savory muffins, like the superfood veggie cake or our frittatas, we're really celebrating how great vegetables can taste.
I want to return to the I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff. Please.
No, go ahead.
No. I wanted to return to the frittatas, but in a little bit. You also have waffles made with butternut squash and carrots. Talk about them and their appeal. It sounds really delicious to me.
Yeah, so people are always looking for more healthy and delicious options in the morning, especially. So we are trying to improve foods that are already familiar to them as morning foods. And we decided to try waffles because that's obviously a huge behavior. I've worked on many frozen waffle brands over the years. And we thought we had a real opportunity here to make something that exists and is part of people's repertoire in a much more healthy way. We have 2 flavors. We have a home style, just an original waffle, and a blueberry. Both have butternut squash and carrots blended into the batter. And they're gluten-free like everything else we do, and they're really amazing. I mean, the butternut squash and carrots give it a little bit of sweetness and moisture. They taste just like you would expect a waffle to taste like, and they're 25% veggies. And then, like we were talking about, we do this with a number of things. So not to get off a tangent, but we also have a mac and cheese. So we said, well, waffles are great in the morning. We know a lot of people eat frozen mac and cheese or even shelf-stable mac and cheese, and we thought there was a big opportunity to make that a much healthier version of that. You know, we see a lot of the brands we compete with offer mac and cheese or waffles, and they're basically using clean ingredients. But macaroni and cheese inherently is not healthy food. It's great that it's organic or it uses clean ingredients, but cheese and pasta is still not inherently the most healthy food you can give your kids. And the same thing with a waffle. So we said, let's come up with those types of products where we're actually making them healthy and taste good. So our mac and cheese, we blend butternut squash and cauliflower into the cheese sauce. We sprinkle a little kale in there, and that item is delicious, and it's over 40% veggies, and it tastes just like a regular mac and cheese.
You've just introduced Garden Lights frittatas, and with it, a whole new look to your packaging. Could you talk a little bit about that product and the new packaging?
Sure. So when Garden Lights launched in 2009, and we launched with a line of vegetable soufflés, which were really for hardcore, calorie-conscious, super healthy people who already love vegetables. And that kind of explains why the brand was called Garden Lights, because we were really about products for Weight Watchers. And as the consumers evolved since then from, you know, I want to be a Weight Watchers person to I want to eat healthy, I want to eat nutrition that's healthy, we've had to evolve as well. So we've decided to change our focus a few years ago from weight loss to healthy eating. But we wanted to leverage our already strong perception of being healthy because of the high vegetable content. So we did a bunch of consumer research. We worked with some terrific agencies. CBX out of New York was the design agency that helped us with this. And we realized that Garden Lights did not fully communicate the essence of our brand. We'd go to consumer shows to sample products. We'd hear from fans how much they love us because we're gluten-free or smart nutritionally or surprisingly delicious. But we didn't get a whole lot of, wow, I love you because you have so much vegetables in your food. So it was really this disconnect between what we were offering and how consumers perceived us. So we knew by making a change, we could really leverage the strength of being veggie-rich that we have. So we came up with the name Veggies Made Great. We think that really articulates who we are and what we do much better than Garden Lights. The first product that we've launched under the Veggies Made Great line are frittatas. This is the latest product to reinforce the company as an innovative leader in the frozen food category, which is really important. You have to continually innovate or you lose the focus of the retailers and consumers. So the new frittatas are very similar to our muffins. Just picture them as kind of an egg cup that you would just eggs and vegetables and various ingredients, and you bake them up, and you have a little handheld portable muffin. But like everything we do, vegetables are the first and primary ingredient. They're gluten-free, non-GMO, and they unbelievably, surprisingly delicious. I am so proud of the product development team we have here that they were able to develop such an unbelievably healthy and delicious product at the same time. They come in 2 flavors, spinach egg white frittata, veggie bacon and potato frittata. The spinach egg white is pretty self-explanatory. The veggie bacon and potato one is really interesting. The veggie bacon is made out of dried sliced smoked pinto beans. We also add cauliflower is the first ingredient, some onions and potato, an egg, and a little bit of mozzarella cheese. And we have, cheddar cheese. And we have a really delicious, great way to start your day. Each frittata is 70 or 80 calories, respectively, and they come with 5 grams of protein and just a super clean, healthy ingredient statement and nutritional profile.
So tell us, Andy, how are your products priced versus the competition? I mean, people have a certain context in terms of thinking about mac and cheese and maybe waffles and muffins and so on. How should the consumer see your products priced versus the competition, or how are they priced?
Well, we have a mission to get America to learn to love veggies like we do. And therefore, it's really important that we price them in a way that consumers can afford it. So we work really hard to make sure that we have cut as much cost out of it as possible without sacrificing quality, so as many people as possible can afford them. We really want everyone to be able to enjoy veggies. So therefore, we often beat the competition because we're a brand with a real mission, and we live it every day. So we try to offer an extraordinarily good value to the consumer. Therefore, you'll find our products to be very reasonable, whether you're comparing it to a muffin you could get at the bakery or anywhere else in the grocery store. Our products are usually less expensive. Same thing goes true for our mac and cheese and the other various products we have, like the new frittatas or the superfood veggie cake item.
So if I'm going into the store, I'm assuming you're in the frozen section. When I pick up the product, what's the price point I should expect?
Well, it depends where you live in the country, because as you know, all the different retailers have different pricing strategies. But relative to our competition, we'll be 10 to 15 cents less expensive per item. And if you're getting one of our handheld muffins or frittatas or superfood veggie cake, they're easily below $1 per muffin or frittata.
Okay. And what do your products in the frozen case, what do they sit next to? Where do I find them?
I wish that was an easy question to answer, because all the retailers have different merchandising strategies. If you worked on Bird's Eye, you know. But most put us in their natural and organic frozen section. We're seeing a lot more retailers decide to say this is the area where you're going to get the food that's got clean ingredients and organic ingredients and the like. So that's usually where we are. Many retailers have also started doing gluten-specific doors, and we've been placed there. We're often placed in the breakfast section or the frozen dinner and snack section. Generally speaking, if you look where the healthy food is, that's usually where you'll find Garden Light.
And sourcing your ingredients, do you source domestically? Do you source all over the world? How do you source your ingredients?
Well, as I mentioned before, we use a lot of fresh vegetables like onions, zucchini, carrots, potatoes, etc. And therefore, we have to source local, because you can't have, zucchini grown in Spain shipped to the U.S. fresh and still have it, be good. So we generally source most of our ingredients local. We're an SQF Level 3 company, which is the higher standard for safe quality foods. And to get that certification, you're required to use the highest quality and the safest food suppliers. It's got tremendous traceability. And therefore, we source our ingredients only from the highest quality suppliers who are also the safe quality food certified.
Okay. And what are some of the testimonials you've heard from kids about your product?
We get a lot of consumers thanking us, first of all, for coming out with a gluten-free product that's actually healthy. It wasn't our intention to help the gluten-free community specifically, but what we found is when we were offering these products, there was this whole community of gluten-free consumers who obviously had to eat products that were gluten-free because someone in their family was either gluten intolerant or celiac. But those products were stuffed with tons of sugar and salt and fat to make them taste good. So we decided, let's see if we can come out with really healthy items that are gluten-free. So first and foremost, we get a lot of moms thanking us for coming out with a really nutritious and healthy gluten-free. We also get a lot of moms who thank us for finally getting their kids, and this is the funny part, and often their husbands, to finally enjoy eating veggies. They tell us all the time that, the battle at the dinner table is to get their 7-year-old and their 43-year-old to eat veggies. So they really are thankful that we're able to come up with products that have the ubiquity of not only occasion, but also age group. So they're attractive to someone like me in their 40s, or someone like my son who's 11. And they talk about how that's really helped with that battle. And now everyone in the household is happy.
Andy, you mentioned that you actually sell some of the products online, which means, are you shipping frozen product?
Yes, we are. We have distribution centers on both coasts, and we can reach pretty much everywhere in the country 2 to 3 days ground, and the product stays frozen. And people seem to love getting products delivered to their house. Now, to make it cost effective for them, they usually buy a much larger quantity than they would buy at a grocery store. So instead of a 6-count of muffins in a grocery store, they'll buy 32 muffins to their house.
Okay, and so is that using dry ice, or how do you keep it frozen?
Yep. Yeah, we keep it dry ice. It's amazing, the technology, what people have been able to develop to ship products safely throughout the year, frozen.
Do you think are your products offered through Amazon, or are you doing everything direct?
We are just actually launched some on Amazon. The only issue with Amazon is we're seeing a lot of other people selling our products on Amazon, and their prices are astronomically high because they're buying it at a grocery store or a distributor and then trying to sell it on Amazon. So you can imagine how high the price is. But we're just starting to launch our line on Amazon right now. But to get the best prices, just go to thehealthfoodstore.com, and that's our best online retail location.
Okay. And what do you think is on the horizon for Veggies Made Great? Where else would you like to introduce? What other types of products would you like to introduce vegetables into?
Well, we're not short of ideas, that's for sure. We get tons, not only from the folks that work at the company, but also friends and family and consumers. But we'll remain focused on our mission. We're going to make sure we offer surprisingly delicious, veggie-rich foods so people can incorporate more veggies into their diet. That is our mission. And we live at very interesting times when it comes to processed foods. I talked about how all the health trends have changed over the last few decades. We believe strongly that the one message that will never change is eat your veggies. So at Garden Lights, or Veggies Made Great, we are perfectly positioned to deliver on that message. And we're focused on continuing to find ways to offer veggie-rich, surprisingly delicious, healthy foods to these consumers. The places we plan to go in the short term, the frittatas only launched about 2 months ago, and they have been an astronomical success for us, unlike anything I've ever worked on. So we think we're going to really focus going forward on this savory muffin format with super healthy foods that deliver what consumers like. And the key to us is to find familiar flavors and formats where we can make that even better by introducing a veggie-rich product that's really smart nutritionally.
And my last question, what's your favorite product?
Well, if you had asked me this before the frittatas, I would say the superfood veggie cake is my favorite product. But this new veggie bacon and potato with cheddar cheese frittata, I'm eating about 5 of them a day. I absolutely love it. We sampled the 2 frittatas last weekend at a Costco in Denver, the spinach egg white and the veggie bacon. And it was really 50-50 which people preferred. So we're really excited about the fact that we have a product that's perfect for me. And then, for example, my daughter, Sam, loves the spinach egg white frittata. So definitely for me, long answer to a short question, the veggie bacon potato. It's really an amazing product.
Well, Andy, I really appreciate this discussion. I think it's been enlightening. I think what you're doing is fantastic. I happen to be a total proponent of getting vegetables in front of kids much earlier so that they come to love it and not to dread it. And I'm going to turn it back to Don so we can make sure that people are aware of your website and let them know about your brand.
You know, Ann, we've been talking with Andy Reichgut. He's Executive Vice President of Garden Lights. And Andy, your website again for our listeners?
GardenLights.com, and you can buy us online at thehealthfoodstore.com.
Okay, can you spell out Garden Lights because it's a different way?
Yeah, sure. Garden, GardenLites.com.
Thank you so much for being with us. A link to those websites will be on foodandwineinsider.com tonight, where you can hear this and every other past and future Food and Wine Insider program. And we thank you so much, Andy, for being with us.
I appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
And now it's time for Ann's comment on the trends in today's world.
Thanks, Don. I thought I would talk a little bit about the Amazon purchase of Whole Foods. I was reading a recent Harvard Business Review article, and the way they thought about the Amazon purchase was saying that they basically bought a network of 456 customer-friendly testing facilities, and that those testing facilities welcome 8 million volunteers each week. Clearly, Amazon has extraordinary experience in using pricing online. They use it either as a tool to communicate, to recruit, or to drive value. It's going to be interesting to me to see how Amazon translates that knowledge to the offline retail world, especially when it comes to pricing. Whole Foods struggled in the last couple of years from a perception of being overpriced. It was losing its customers that way, and it was aggressively promoting its 365 brand, which kind of left a little less room for other brands. But if you look at Amazon, they essentially sell brands online, and with those 456 stores to use as experimentation, it's clear that Amazon will test varying pricing models to recruit new customers and drive value. So what does this mean for brands? Traditional supermarkets are going to find themselves undermined either by the German discounters Aldi and Lidl, who carry very, very few SKUs. They'll also be challenged by Walmart on value and specialty stores who are all about differentiation to provide unique items not available in other channels and to treat their customers as guests. To me, the key will be differentiation. What are the new brands to the market that's really differentiated and desired by the consumer, but still taps into big behavior? Online, Amazon is selling products with brand names, which gives small brands a chance to have an even playing field with large CPG companies who can afford to own the shelf at retail. Maybe indeed how we think of the shelf will now change and provide for more opportunities for small brands to thrive. Consumers still, they want to know where their products come from, they expect a clean ingredient line, and they want to know that there's a real person behind the product. Hopefully Amazon will learn this as well.
Marcus Lemonis, J.D. Powers, and John Scully, and 100 other presidents and experts contributed to recalculating the book. Why did all these people agree to contribute to the book? I'm Don Mazzella, and I'm the editorial director of Small Business Digest. And for 20 years, we have been offering small business leaders information and data to increase profits. Recalculating the book was named the best small business book by the Independent Press Association. Whether you need help with marketing, staffing, finance, operations, technology, or many other subjects, they're all here in Recalculating the book. They're now available at Amazon at a reduced cost. We've also created the radio program Recalculating on recalculating.biz.
You've been listening to Food and Wine Insider with Ann Daw and Don Mazzella. Want to join us on a future show? Contact us at foodandwineinsider.com. Until next time, have a passion for food, wine, and profits, and think of our program, Food and Wine Insider.